Hey book friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paula, and in today's video we are going to talk about sports romance. If you haven't had a chance yet, click that subscribe button down below and stick around for lots more book content. So over the last year and a half of really diving into reading romance books, I have found sports romance books are some of my absolute favorites to read. I've read some pretty popular ones, I've read some not so popular ones. I have a ton on my TBR from a lot of different booktubers. So I just wanted to talk about some of my favorites that I've read. A lot of these people have talked about and a lot of people know about them, but I figured I'd talk about them anyway because I've read them and I really enjoyed them. So let's jump into it. So the very first sports romance books that I ever read, and that a lot of people I think read, is the Off Campus series by Elle Kennedy. This is a hockey romance series. There are 4 books, technically 5. There's like an extended epilogue book, which I don't own. This is a university hockey romance between 4 friends and their love interests, and I love this book so much. This series. So book 1 is The Deal. This is Garrett and Hannah. I actually just finished rereading this. This was my first ever book reread. I am reading this series with a book club, the Serpents and Spice book club, that's hosted by Kayla. I'll link her down below if you guys are interested in joining. But this was kind of a fun thing that we're doing over the month of August. So I read this one, freaking loved it. I love Garrett and Hannah. So sassy, the banter, it's good stuff. Next up is The Mistake, which is Logan and Grace. This one I don't remember a whole lot about, to be honest. I liked it enough, I'm sure, but yeah, this is book number 2. Book number 3 is The Score. This is Dean and Allie. Allie is Hannah from book number 1. It's her best friend, her roommate. A lot of people really like this book. I didn't mind it. I'm hoping a reread is going to change my mind of it because I wasn't a huge fan of Dean. I know, unpopular opinion. But yeah, this is number 3. And book number 4, my absolute favorite, is The Goal. This is Tucker and Sabrina. I'm obsessed with this book. I love Tucker. I don't think he gets enough love. He is a Southern boy, a little bit of a redhead, hockey player. I'm obsessed. And then along with the off-campus series is actually the Briar Youth series, which is another 4 books. It follows a group of people a little bit younger than the people in off-campus, but they all still kind of connect. Some of the boys in Briar Youth played on the team with some of the boys in off-campus. So the 4 books are The Chase, The Risk, The Play, and The Dare. I also really enjoyed those books. So those are separate series, but they do intertwine. They're in the same world. So if you really like hockey romance, definitely check those out. The next series I'm going to talk about is an F1 series. A lot of people know about this one as well, but that is the Dirty Airs series by Lauren Asher. There's actually 4 books. I don't own the 4th one, which is really unfortunate because it's my favorite of the whole series. But these follow 4 Formula 1 racers during the season and them falling in love, and I had no interest in F1 prior to reading these. I grew up with my dad watching NASCAR and I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. I love F1 racing now. I watched the documentary, the docuseries. I'm obsessed with these drivers. I know they're fake. I don't care. I'm in love with them. So book number 1 is Throttled. This follows Maya and Noah. Maya is the sister to Noah's teammate, and she is joining her brother on the tour for the season. So forced proximity, brother's teammate, slightly sort of forbidden, not really. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Book number 2 is Collided. This is Liam and Sophie. Liam is on a different team than Noah. And Sophie is actually the team principal's daughter. So the team principal is basically like head honcho, sort of. And this one, she has made a bucket list. And it's a list of things she's never done but wants to do. And so Liam helps her with that list. This was my least favorite of the series. Still really good. But yeah, that's book number 2. Book number 3 is Wrecked. This book wrecked me. I love this book so much. This is Jax and Elena. Jax is Liam's teammate, so they drive for the same team. And Elena is a like PR rep. Jax has kind of dug himself into a bit of a deep hole. He's got some anxiety, some depression. He has been abusing drugs and alcohol. So Elena is brought onto the team to basically babysit him and make sure his image gets better. This is Major Force Proximity. I freaking love this book. And then book number 4 is Redeemed. This is hands down my favorite book of the whole series. This is Santi and Chloe. So Santi is Maya's brother from the first book, which means Noah and Santi are teammates. Santi goes through something pretty traumatic. He ends up leaving F1 racing. And then Chloe is not part of the F1 world, but she travels across the world to find her birth father. And along the way, she ends up meeting Santi. They fall in love. It's easily my favorite one. But this series, I love. It holds a special place in my heart. I love Lauren Asher as well, so we love this. So I've got a couple more hockey romance books. These are all written by the same author. So these are all written by Maren Moore. She's got a couple more books. I just don't have them physically. But I love these books. As you can tell, pretty short, pretty easy reads. These all follow professional hockey players. And they all kind of have semi-different storylines, but they're either like an accidental pregnancy or they are a single parent romance. So I absolutely love these books. So the first book is The Enemy Trap. This follows Hayes and Sophia. They don't like each other. They are definitely enemies. They end up getting stranded on a yacht together and they get stuck in a storm. They have a steamy one-night stand. Lo and behold, she ends up pregnant. They end up getting a fake marriage to kind of keep their image together. And it kind of goes from there. I really enjoyed this one. This was the first ever Maren Moore book that I read. Next up is The Newspaper Nanny. This one, I mean, the title kind of tells you itself. This is actually a special edition cover. This is from the Last Chapter Bookshop. This came in their Single Dads trope box. So I absolutely love this cover. The back is basically the newspaper ad with the blurb. So this follows Juliet and Liam. Liam is a single father with 2 little girls. He is a hockey coach. And Juliet is looking for a job and she ends up finding a nannying position in the newspaper, hence the name. And Liam's girls end up falling in love with her, as does he. So this is Major Force Proximity. I loved this one. I really, really enjoyed this one. So the next one that I have is Change on the Fly. This follows Reed and Holland. Reed is Holland's best friend's brother, which a trope I love, best friend's brother. He is a hockey player. Basically, he's not really allowed to date her. His sister has said, don't do it. But he's always had a thing for her and they start up a romance. This is the beginning of a series. This is the Totally Pucked series. It is entirely interconnected standalones. Each book is a different couple, other than one couple who actually ends up getting a duet, which I loved. I'm going to talk about them in another video. But yeah, these are great hockey romances, all written by Maren Moore. Next up is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This is a football romance. This one is actually a closed door romance, so there's no spicy scenes, which I didn't know going into it. It didn't really ruin the book, but I kind of wish I had known. So just in case you don't know, it is a closed door romance. So this book follows Bree and Nathan. They have been friends forever, so a classic friends to lovers. Bree is a ballerina and Nathan is a professional football player. They end up fake dating throughout the book as well. This was just a super easy read, really enjoyable. I actually am excited to read a couple more of Sarah Adams' books, but this was, I think this is one of the only football romances I've read. So yeah, The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. Okay, I lied, I have read another football romance. This one I freaking loved. I can't believe I forgot about this one. I read this one just last month. This is Nothing Less Than Everything by Maggie Gates. Maggie is easily one of my favorite authors. This book follows Tatum and Ren. Tatum is a new football player on a team on the East Coast. He's just moved out there. Ren is a cheerleader for the team, and she is also like an interior designer, home designer. She's actually tasked to decorate Tatum's apartment. They don't know who each other is. He doesn't say anything. He kind of just assumes that people know who he is. She doesn't tell him that she is a cheerleader because it's not something that she announces to everyone. They very quickly fall in love, very steamy romance, and they really find out who each other is by him tackling her on the sidelines of a game. And there are rules that football players and cheerleaders are not allowed to date. So their story kind of goes from there. I absolutely loved it. This was Maggie's first sports romance. I loved it. So definitely check out Nothing Less Than Everything. Next up is a series that I've only read the first book for, but even from the first book, I know I'm gonna love this series. This is the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco. This series, people either seem to really love or really dislike. So far, I'm on the love side of it. This is a forbidden romance, forced proximity, age gap, coach-athlete romance. I love it. I think it's so good. I love gymnastics. It's easily one of my favorite sports to watch. So when I found out there was an entire series based around it and steamy romance, I was 100% in. I have the rest of the series purchased as a giant bundle on my Kindle, so I'm excited to go ahead and finish reading that. But I loved the first book so much. Definitely can't wait to read the rest. And then the last ones I'm going to recommend is, as of right now, it's a duet. I believe there's a third book coming out, but this is the Fight Club series. So that is 5 Rounds and 2 Fights by Nikki Castle. These are MMA fighting romances. The first one is a forced proximity best friend's roommate, I think, is, if I remember correctly. I loved this one, super steamy. Basically, she has to move out of her apartment. Her new apartment's not gonna be ready in time, so she needs somewhere to stay. Her best friend is gonna be out of town for, I think, the entire week and a half that she needs a place to stay. So she moves into his room and ends up living with his roommate. They don't like each other at all. We all know where that goes. There is a very steamy scene up against the window. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And then 2 Fights is about her sister and her best friend. So the two of them have been friends for a while. He's kind of always had a thing for her. He's never done anything about it. And she is dating someone during these 2 books. He's an asshole. He's the worst. And eventually they break up. Her and her sister's best friend start to fall in love. I freaking loved this. There's a belt scene, if you know, you know. Super spicy. And like I said, I think a third book is coming out either by the end of this year or early next year as well. So those are some of my favorite sports romances. Let me know down below if you've read any of them before or what one of your favorite sports romance reads are. I am always looking for more. I'm super excited to read a ton more. Again, if you haven't had a chance yet, hit that subscribe button down below so you can stick around for more book content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!